All right, so you're seeing a lot of awesome lots in and around Durango and thinking you might want to build on some acreage or even just some land in general. Well, you might want to be really, really cautious with that because some of these lots that you're looking at are either on the edge of a cliff or you're losing a lot of land because it's going right up the side of a mountain. And I'm going to get into a lot of those details and walk you through some things that you really want to watch out for. I'm going to get into details that are going to be really hard to find online, really hard to Google, give you really specific stories of what my clients have gone through, things that my clients and I have found out in showing them properties. And they're learning it's a very different area compared to where they're moving from. If you're even thinking about moving to Durango, make sure to give us a call, text, email, days, nights, weekends. We've got your back when it comes to moving to Durango. So the first item on the list is looking into utilities. Can a well be drilled? The cost of that well. Septic, can you put a septic tank in? Usually you can, but what's that cost going to look like? And so I'll jump into the first item regarding a well. So ensuring that a well can be drilled, I can first of all talk to the county to see what wells have been drilled around the area, or if properties around the area have a cistern, which is essentially a holding tank for water. Now, the second item with that is what are the gallons per minute in the area surrounding you? So that's not going to guarantee that yours is going to be similar, but it's going to give you at least a good indication. So if the properties around you are 2 gallons or more, you can have a well, but if it's on that lower end, you're going to need a cistern for the well to pump water into the cistern, into that kind of holding tank. Then the water is going to be pulled into the house from there. Some properties you can't have a well. You're not able to have a well. Maybe you're on the side of a cliff. We sold a property recently that was on County Road 141. They're kind of on the side of a mountain, and they got the land really cheap, but they had to have a cistern. They actually had two. So they had a tank in the garage, then one down lower. Then they had piping where the company, the water company, can pull up, plug their hose in, and shoot the water up to the first holding tank. Then that water is pulled up to the house. So that is something that is an option and is very doable. It's not like you necessarily have to have a truck and haul water. A lot of people do have trucks with a tank in the back of their truck and they do it themselves, but you can pay for a company to bring that water out to you. Now, regarding septic, I did get on a Zoom call with Aaron over at Mountain Pumping and ask him a few frequently asked questions about septics and what that would look like depending on the location, the grade of the property, and the type of soil. And so I will play that video for you, let you check out some of his answers real quick.
A lot of times the issue is, say it's, a 3-acre parcel and only like a 1/4 acre is really flat and buildable. So now the question is, well, do you use that for your septic or you use that for the house? With that said, simply speaking, pretty much any property, I'd say almost any property, you can get a septic system on. It does depend, so how Mountain Septic handles it is we'll meet, we offer to kind of quarterback the whole job for the clients. And so we coordinate with the engineer, either one of their choosing or one we recommend. And then we'll go out with the engineer. We dig the test pits. They need to dig 2-foot deep holes to get a soil analysis. And that gives us an opportunity to look and see, like, well, what is the digging like? Is it super rocky? You can, sometimes it is, sometimes you're on the side of a mountain and the digging's great. It really just depends. So as far as what to look out for, really, I'd just say find the property that you like. And your, septic systems, kind of for a full system, are going to run anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000, is what I've seen this year. We had one that we installed recently. It was $48,000. The water table was 10 inches below grade. There were a lot of factors. It was a pressurized system. We had to bring in like $10,000 worth of clean concrete, washed concrete sand. So that one was pretty pricey, but it was some real tricky parameters we were working with. On the flip side, I've seen a 3-bedroom system that was able to, the soil was great. It was able to be it was a smaller system, and it came in the low 20s. So I know that's a very broad range, but no honest installer can give you an exact number without engineered plans. So that's really the first step. If you like the property, you can have a conversation with an engineer beforehand, but really one is yours. Getting an engineer on there, digging some holes, having them build out a system, then you'll have plans that you can use to bid out the job, and hopefully Mountain Septic has a seat at the table.
All right, now that we're back, just want to kind of summarize. So he was saying really in between that $20,000 and $50,000 range, you're looking at septics generally, just to give you that estimate. The other item was when meeting with septic and well people, it's way better if you can show them a specific lot and say, this specific lot I really like, but what am I going to get myself into? How it works with septic is we really got to get the engineer out there, actually draw plans and look at it that way, and they'll be able to give you that estimate. But a lot of it depends on the soil type. Unfortunately, we can at least get you some rough estimates, an idea based on properties around you if they have wells, but it's very hit or miss because sometimes your soil type will change, terrain changes, just different things change. So we really want to get those experts out here and ask them specifically what those pitfalls are on the specific land you're looking at. HOA is another thing you want to look into. You really want to go through all the building restrictions. A lot of HOAs will have a minimum size of home that you have to put on the lot. Some HOAs will or won't let you have a mobile home or a camper on the property while you're building, or just in general, will or won't let you have manufactured homes. And then with HOA, you really want to go through their line by line as well as the covenants and look into if you want animals, if you want chickens, if you want cows, if you want even dogs, is important to know, because sometimes you can have 3 dogs or 2 dogs or 2 dogs plus a cat. Like, they have very specific guidelines regarding pets. And forgive me, I got to look down at my notes here. You'll see me looking down. Is there a set building envelope per the HOA? So I was showing clients property over in Durango Ridge Ranch recently, really gorgeous lot. And they were saying, well, the property ends right here, but somebody else's land is right next to mine. Can they build right there? And so with that subdivision in particular, at least that lot, I mean, I know that entire subdivision, they all have building envelopes where you're allowed to build. So that prevents somebody from building right on the edge of your land. And so that gives you kind of that comfort and peace of mind knowing that they're not going to build right next to you. Also, it tells you where you need to build so that you know if that lot is going to be suited for you, if you're going to enjoy that lot itself. And so it goes both ways. It's really good for you to know regarding your neighbors, really good for you to know regarding yourself. Another example that I want to give you is from a listing, 4-acre lot that's on the market. The CCRs allowed for 2 horses, no swine, no cattle, no dog breeding. They allowed for stick built homes, and building plans must be approved by HOA. So if you're really worried and you really don't want to have to buy that lot, then get a building plan approved by the HOA, we could try to talk to the HOA before, but it's tricky because you can't necessarily get a whole building plan approved by them before you go under contract on the lot. So reading through those HOA guidelines can give you an idea of, okay, am I going to be safe here? Most likely with what I want to build, what I want to put on the property. And you're probably aware of this, but if not, just something to put on the list is to check Google Earth. Make sure it's not on a massive hill, or just be aware that it is on a massive hill or on the side of a mountain. And you can just see what's around it as well, as far as elevation change, as far as, is there a property that's maybe dilapidated, maybe they're not taking care of it, that's next door to you that you wouldn't be able to see. Most homes, but it's very spotty as well. In this area, you can drive with Google as well and look and see the properties next door, see what it's like. I also want to bring up, guys, if you're looking at properties, you really like a couple, Even if you're just kind of starting to look around, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to shoot a drone video for you specifically, shoot like a walkthrough of that area, of that lot for you, give you an idea of where you might be able to build your lot. And I know I mentioned this in previous videos, but I am a licensed realtor here in Durango, so we'd love to help you with anything you need in general. Feel free to reach out, shoot me a call, text, email, days, nights, weekends. We'd love to help you guys with any of your real estate needs here in Durango. And so to get back to the video, the property line. So another item that I'm happy to do for you guys is walk the property line. I have an app on my phone that shows me exactly where the property line is. Of course, it's not going to always be exact. You always want to get a survey, but I'm happy to walk that property line for you, show you where it's at, so that you have a real good understanding. Okay, I can build here, or maybe I can't build here, and give you a real good feel of that. This lot that I'm on right now with this beautiful view, we were walking this property with a client of mine just the other day. We were walking the property lines, and what's interesting about some of these lots is they'll have easements. So that's another line item that you want to have kind of on your checklist, is understand the easements and where those are at. So you'll see on a survey or plat map if there's an easement going through, and what an easement is, if you're not aware, is essentially it might allow for a road to go through your property, or typically you'll see a road for a neighbor maybe behind you or to the side of you for them to be able to access their property. Usually that's what easements are for. In bigger towns, or just in towns in general, you'll see easements for utility companies to be able to get back to their power lines. And that's really, really common. So if you see that, I wouldn't be alarmed, but just be aware of exactly how those easements work. Sometimes there are, just easements that go right through the property, and you're like, no way, I don't want people driving right through the middle of my property. And then another line item that I want to mention, just in case you're really into birds, I have a great bird app called Merlin Bird ID, and I'm happy to show you. I had a client asking me, saying, I don't hear a lot of birds here. And so what I did is I pulled out the app. I can press record, and it'll record the birds in the area and then tell us which birds there are. So I just want to throw that one out there. I know it's probably not high on a lot of people's list, but worth bringing up. And then ensure you know the incline of your driveway. Now, I don't mean know exactly that it's 12% grade, but know if it's a steep driveway, if it's not. And then along with that, know the elevation that it's at for several reasons. This way you understand, okay, do I need to get a snow plow? Can I just do this with a snow blower? What will it take to get the snow off of my road in the winter? And I did speak to Aaron at Mountain Septic as well about snow plowing. Essentially what he was saying is they offer snow plowing. They don't have a lot of trucks. They have one truck, but typically it starts at $120 for the first hour. And how that works is if they're coming from another area, they're 20 minutes away. It starts from when they leave that area to get to your property. And usually they can knock it out in about an hour. Now, if you have a really, really long driveway, it might take them 2 hours. But I was told, even a quarter-mile long driveway, usually they can knock it out in less than 2 hours, and usually closer to that hour time frame. Just completely depends on the amount of snow. The other reason you want to look into if that driveway is steep, what the grade is, and just the length of driveway in general, is so that you can get an estimate on maybe paving it. So a lot of these driveways are dirt. You don't want to deal with that, especially in the springtime. It'll be real muddy. So keep that in mind. Really just looking into and doing more due diligence. And again, I'm happy to help you do all of that due diligence myself for you. Figure out quotes if you want to get that driveway paved. So you know what kind of numbers you're looking at when you're purchasing the lot. So next line item, look at what the views are like, just like this right here. Look at if you actually get this view on this lot, or if you're up further behind the trees, if you need to take down trees to get a view like this, or if you just don't get this view at all, and kind of walk around that building envelope and really try to understand what kind of views you're able to get, along with what kind of sun is hitting which side of the house or where the house would be facing. So it can be a little bit tricky. I definitely recommend coming out here, walking these properties, getting a real good feel, maybe bringing a lawn chair out, sitting down and just getting a real good feel of what are the sounds? Can I hear some of that noise from town from where this property is? Or is there a busy street by by me. Like on the map, sometimes there will be, or it'll look like there is. But I had a client reach out the other day, said, is this a busy street? It looks bigger. I told him, no, that's actually just it looks bigger on the map, but it's not a busy street at all. So again, something I'm happy to do for you guys, drive it, show you a video, show you the noise volume and what it's like, but another line item that you want to keep in mind. Are there any reasons it might be tough to resell if you decide not to build? So I think that's something that we want to be cautious of why others are sometimes selling. Sometimes other people are selling their lots because they didn't like it for some reason. So we want to kind of really go through these line items to ensure we're not buying it for the same reason they're getting rid of it, or we're not seeing the reason they're getting rid of it. And so really looking into what is the resale value here? Is it going to be easier to sell? And I'm happy to walk you through that. I just did that with clients recently and was showing them the reasons. Like one of the properties they're looking at is south of town a little bit. But what I love about that area is you actually get less snow. You also have really good water rights depending on the area. But this was closer to Highway 550. You have better water rights and you're still within that kind of 20-minute bubble of being able to drive to downtown. So there's a lot of big values there. And they also got some great mountain views from where that house was in particular. So just to throw out a few examples specifically. The next item is definitely meet a few good builders. So I have some great builders I work with. I'd be happy to recommend them to you. My parents in particular but about 5 years ago, built with a great builder. Happy to recommend him, as well as some others that my clients have built with in the past. So it can give you some strong recommendations. And these builders that I am recommending are great at getting on the phone with you or walking the property with you and just explaining to you kind of the process, the next steps, because it seems so confusing if you haven't built in the past as to kind of how the process goes. Next item will be, what will it cost to get the lot shovel ready? And so shovel ready means essentially just getting it ready to actually start building on. So a lot of these lots, you'll see a ton of these lots actually, will have maybe a tough driveway, like I mentioned earlier, where you've got to do a lot of work on the driveway just to get to the building envelope, especially if you're looking at lots with great views like this. Now this lot is an exception. It has a paved road up to the property. So this lot is pricier because you don't need to do much work on it to get it going. But some of these properties you're going to see with great views are going to be tough to get to, and are maybe going to have a lot of boulders, a lot of rock, a lot of stuff that they're going to have to clear out, a lot of trees as well that they're going to have to clear out. So on that note, when they clear out those trees, you might not have kind of the shade that you're expecting, or maybe you want more of that sun, so you want them to clear out those trees. But you want to talk to a builder specifically, have them come out to the specific lot once you've kind of narrowed it down, and give you a ballpark, an estimate on what it'll cost to kind of get the ground shovel ready to be able to build on. If there are less expensive lots than others, these are some of the reasons why. And what I mean by that is some of these lots are a lot harder. It might take $200,000 just to get it ready to build. And so a lot of these lots are priced lower for that reason. And again, I was talking about if there are utilities. So some of these lots don't have utilities, but you can connect them to city utilities. So this is a little bit separate from talking about the well, septic, propane subject I mentioned earlier that are more lots out in the county. So if you're maybe close to the city or close to a subdivision or in a new subdivision, but utilities are not connected, looking into what those would cost to connect. And I'm happy to do that for you as well, of course. So the next one is gonna be water rights. Some properties have water rights, but they're not very good water rights. Maybe they're closer to the airport and maybe you don't get much water, or you're in the Animas Valley and you get a ton of water and it's amazing. So just kind of knowing the difference, what that property really looks like, how much water you can use, is it seasonal? Like what does all that look like? When does the water shut off? Like I know where I live, the water is being shut off. It's being shut off on Thursday. At the time I'm filming this, this is the end of September. The next item I have here is discussing, like a lot of acreage properties might say 30 acres, but there's only a little bit that's actually flat and buildable. So this was a really big concern for the client that I was just working with that was just up here in Durango. They're coming from a property with, I think it's like 70 acres out in Texas. And when they look at 30 acres out here, they're expecting, we've got 30 acres that we can ride our ATVs on, we can have fun on, we can maybe shoot on, just do fun stuff on. But out here, you're gonna see a lot of 35-acre properties that are not very flat at all. We were looking at one where it kind of drove in, beautiful driveway, beautiful views, kind of pulled up to the building site, which looked real obvious where the building site was. And then it just dropped off a cliff, essentially. And all that area was still their property. So it's like, it's beautiful. You don't have anybody building around you. You have this nice separation between your neighbors, but it's not very usable land in the sense of being able to walk it, hike it, maybe set up a little bike trail or a walking trail around your property. You only have maybe 5-6 acres on this property in particular that you can specifically use as far as like flatter land. So again, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to go out and shoot an actual drone video of a lot that you're looking at that you really like, so you can actually see the buildable acreage, kind of give you at least a feel for it. And so to kind of summarize, you're looking at utilities, you're looking at the access to the land, you're looking at those driveways. Also, you really want to know the elevation. Again, I'm happy to pull that elevation for you if you're looking at a specific lot. And that way I can tell you, hey, this elevation 7,500, they're going to get a lot more snow. Really want to make you aware of the amount of snow you're going to get on that property that you're looking at versus in town, versus Bayfield, versus Mancos, just kind of the surrounding areas. For example, Purgatory Ski Resort area, there's some gorgeous lots up there that are stunning and are right on a lake. Like they're the best lots, in my opinion, in the entire county. But then when you get to the winter, they get double the snow that we get more than double the snow that we get in town Durango, where it's about 65-12 elevation. So really being aware of elevation of these lots as well. And then again, just kind of these things that you wouldn't think of if you live in a flatter area. Guys, if you're even thinking about moving, please reach out to me. Give me a call, text, email, days, nights, weekends. Licensed realtor here in Durango as well as New Mexico. If you guys need anything at all, would love to help you. And again, I want to mention, be happy to put up the drone in the air, shoot you a personalized video of what you're looking at or what you're looking for, give you a more dialed in perspective. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Love to have you guys comment on what you thought about this video and anything maybe I missed on this. Thanks. We'll see you soon.